Welcome to the Welsh Yogi Podcast.
Oh, whoops. Hello everyone and welcome to the Welsh Yogi Podcast. Today we're reading verse 2 of Nectar of Instruction, and we have Gopal, Roy and me, Bhakta-rupa.
Hi everyone, Hare Krishna.
Okay, so last episode, which we recorded last week, we only got through one sentence.
Yeah, I remember that.
It wasn't 10 minutes ago.
We just released both podcasts together, like you.
No.
You should.
Okay, yeah, I guess it's like a bus. They've been waiting so long for a podcast
Yeah,
to come.
yeah, and then we'll do it every week from next week as well. It's like a double. It's like you know when like everyone waited ages for Guns N' Roses to release another album, they came out with a double album.
Really?
Use Illusion 1 and Use Illusion 2, and that's what it's just like a double album of a...
Yeah. Yeah, no one wants one slice of cake. It's always better to have two.
Is that a saying, is it?
I just made it up.
Yeah.
So maybe we should refresh the viewers on this verse. Atyahara prayasas cha pajapo niyamagraha jana sangas chalolyam cha shadbir bhakti vinishati. One's devotional service is spoiled when he becomes too entangled in the following 6 activities. 1.
Eating more than necessary, or collecting more funds than required.
2.
Over-endeavouring for mundane things that are very difficult to obtain.
3.
Talking unnecessarily about mundane subject matters.
4.
Practicing the scriptural rules and regulations only for the sake of following them and not for the sake of spiritual advancement. Or rejecting the rules and regulations of the scriptures and working independently or whimsically.
5.
Associating with worldly minded persons who are not interested in Krishna consciousness.
And 6.
Being greedy for mundane achievements.
Very nice.
Okay.
Cool. So should we just start the purport again?
Okay, so last episode, we're not going to get hung up on this, but this is the first sentence. Human life is meant for plain living and high thinking.
Wow.
Since all conditioned living beings are under the control of the Lord's third energy, this material world is designed so that one is obliged to work. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has 3 primary energies or potencies. The first is called Antaranga Shakti, or the internal potency. The second is called Tatashta Shakti, or the marginal potency. The third is called Bahiranga Shakti, or the external potency. The living entities, so I'm going to keep reading to the end of the paragraph, right?
Sure.
And we can recap. The living entities constitute the marginal potency, and they are situated between the internal and external potencies. Does your potencies have a capital P in your book?
No.
Okay.
This is a British BBT version.
Yeah, this is the Indian one. So
Yeah, go figure.
Being subordinate as eternal servants of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or Jivatmas, or atomic living entities, must remain under the control of either the internal or external potency. Just recap then, maybe we should recap this a little bit just in case someone... So it's saying the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or Krishna. So Krishna has 3 primary energies: internal, external, and marginal. Right? So internal is spiritual energy, external is material energy, marginal is the living entities, right? That's us.
Yeah.
And we have the tendency to either go one way or the other. You got to take, so either we take shelter of the external energy, which means we take shelter of the material energy, which means the living entities that are forced to work in the material world, or they take shelter of the internal potency, the spiritual potency, and they engage in loving service to Krishna.
Very straightforward way of understanding it, isn't it? You know the analogy of the ocean, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like you can be on the coast, on the shoreline, and you can either go one step to the left and you're in the ocean, or to the right and you're on land.
I think that's where the word Tatashta comes from. It means that, like,
Yeah.
like that. As the tide comes in and out.
Yeah.
That bit that's sometimes under the tide and sometimes not.
Yeah.
Sometimes under the water and sometimes not. That's tatashta.
Yeah, it's marginal. It could go one way or the other.
Yeah.
Do we have a choice over which way we go? Because they're saying the marginal energy is us, the living entity.
Yeah.
We can choose between spiritual and material.
Yeah. We have to take shelter of one of the other energies.
Ice cream van.
Ice cream van, yeah.
Sorry, that was me taking shelter of material. So, because I remember I was talking to you when I first moved into the ashram, and I felt like there was a very clear moment where I had a choice between spiritual and material. Like I could have gone, I'm not going to get into this Hare Krishna thing. It's a bit of a weird. It's not my cup of tea. But instead I chose to move into the ashram. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of us will get these moments in life which that tatishta quality is really tested. Like you can really choose to move towards Krishna or move away from Krishna.
Mm-hmm.
Then you had an experience like that at all, where it's like, okay, I got an opportunity here to make a move in the right way.
Yeah, I mean, there's some points in life in it where maybe the choice is a bit more like pronounced, but there's always
every day. Yeah.
Mahatmanas tu mam parta devim prakritim ashrita bhajanti adana. I said, oh yeah, gets quoted. Gyatva bhutadim abhyam. Yeah, it gets quoted in this purport. So
yeah,
I mean, this is all about. We'll just carry reading, I think,
yeah.
and then I'll stop for. Okay, that was a little recap. So when they, as in the living entities, us, the marginal potency, when they are under the control of the internal potency, they display their natural constitutional activity, namely constant engagement in the devotional service of the Lord. That is stated in Bhagavad Gita 9:30. Mahatmanas tu mam partha devim. This is real Mahatma, like Mahatma Gandhi. This word Mahatma, Sanskrit, it means actually a broad-minded person, and it truly is defined in Bhagavad Gita like this. Mahatmanas tu mam partha devim prakritim ashritaha bhajanti anina manaso gatva buddhadim avyayam. O son of Purta, those who are not deluded, the great souls, are under the protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. The word Mahatma refers to those who are broad-minded, not cripple-minded. Cripple-minded persons always engage in satisfying their senses, sometimes expand their activities in order to do good for others through some ism, like nationalism, humanitarianism, or altruism. They may reject personal sense gratification for the sense gratification of others, like the members of their family, community, or society, either national or international. Actually, all this is extended sense gratification, from personal to communal to social. This may be all very good, or this may all be very good from the material point of view, but such activities have no spiritual value. The basis of such activity is sense gratification, either personal or extended. Only when a person gratifies the senses of the Supreme Lord can he be called a Mahatma, or broad-minded person. Do you want to say anything on that bit?
It's just interesting, like, because sometimes we think it's not sense gratification. I'm just trying to help other people, trying to help my family, or and what Prabhupada says here is extended sense gratification.
Yeah.
Like you can enjoy your senses through someone else's senses. Like
it's all. I remember one of my friends, Chris Palmer, who used to walk around all the time, and just walk, and he was like, everyone is selfish. And he was like, because you just do something. Why do you give in charity? Because you want it. Because you feel good by helping other people. So it's all about So he was saying everyone is selfish. I remember thinking, but now actually, in one sense, that is true.
It's like different. There's like different grades of selfishness. Like, but yeah, it's all on the same spectrum. If you're doing things for sense gratification, or to gratify someone else's senses, then you're acting on the external potency. Like you're acting in the material side of yourself. And
as Prabhupada's saying here, it might be all well and good. Like, it's good. It's all well and good to feed people and to help other people in this world. But it has, unless it's connected to Krishna, it has no spiritual value. And to add spiritual value to our lives is something that that's why we're here. That's the point. Us reading this book, isn't it?
Yeah. I know I'm just rewinding quite a far way back, but just at the beginning of this purport, something that stood out to me, it says that this material world is designed so that one is obliged to work. Just this obligation. We all have to work in this world. You know what I mean? So you might as well try to work for Krishna, because whether you do devotional service or material service, you have to work. It's an obligation of being here. It's just something that stood out to me. It's like you can't escape, because a lot of people think spiritual life means to kind of eject. No more working. I'm just going to sort of meditate, and people who are less in the know would think like that, but actually we have to work. There's no such thing as not working. You can't maintain your physical body without work. So instead, just do things for Krishna's pleasure, to gratify Krishna's senses, to gratify the senses of the Supreme Lord. That's a novel concept also, that the Supreme Lord has senses. You know what I mean? Like it's like a concept that's unique to Bhakti, Krishna consciousness. Krishna has senses that you can gratify. How would you gratify Krishna's senses if you didn't? Like, just someone asking who's never heard of that concept before. How can you gratify God's senses? How does that work?
Yeah, I mean, there's different levels, Yeah, I mean, practically there is, you can cook a meal that Krishna would like and offer it to Krishna, and then eat it, and it's like, okay, that's satisfying Krishna's senses, but that's the thing. It's like, okay, well, if someone really wants to, it depends how much they know, because if someone out of the blue just says, "Oh, satisfy Supreme Lord senses," what's that mean? It's okay. What's first of all, do you understand that you are conscious, a spiritual being different from your body? In the bodily consciousness, that's the thing. When people say, "Oh, I want to, understand God," is that okay? First, understand yourself. Then we can talk about God later. You know what I mean? Understand yourself as an individual spiritual consciousness separate from the body. Then we can talk about what's the source of everything and how that's also conscious. And if we can even start to go more into, okay, you're an individual person, then the source of everything also has that individuality. And if you have senses, then why shouldn't the source of everything also have senses? Otherwise, where do you get your senses from? But Krishna's senses are... And then you get into the real definition of Bhakti Yoga. Hrishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Uchite. Bhakti Yoga means satisfying the senses, engaging one's senses in the service of Hrishikesha, the master of all senses. So then, the Prabhupada would give the example of the hand serving the body, right, by putting food into the mouth, and then the whole body is satisfied. So that's like a basic example of seeing how the part serves the whole. So if we accept we're a part and try and serve the whole in some way, then you will feel a type of spiritual satisfaction that you don't get materially.
It's interesting because we're hearing about these Mahatmas, these great souls. Is it the case that if you please those Mahatmas, those great personalities, then that's because I kind of see it like that. When we're serving the more advanced devotees, it's like we're serving Krishna's senses through by serving them. Do you know what I mean? Is that a misconception? Or?
Yeah, I mean that's the wonderful thing really about, as you get more into Krishna consciousness and the more like devotees already understand as axiomatic all these things about the Supreme Lord and Krishna, and he is the Supreme. That's why you have so many cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam before it gets to the 10th canto, so as to understand, okay, this is the Supreme Lord. And then as you understand that he has senses and he's a person, and being a person naturally means you are social. So Krishna is all, like Prabhupada would say, Krishna always wants to be seen with his devotees. So Krishna, and then the more you learn about Krishna as a person, you see how much he loves his devotees, and actually, because he's full of selfless love, he gets more pleased when the devotees or the people who have taken shelter of him, the ones that he loves, when they're pleased, he gets more pleasure. So serve me, serve my dog, isn't it? If you want to. So yeah, as devotees, as you know more about Krishna, you start to understand, okay, if I really want to please this person, then I'll please the people who he loves.
There's something you can practically do that I try to do. You see the devotees of Krishna and you just try to serve them and just try and help them and support them, and you feel satisfaction from that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of is there a book? Oh, here we go. It's in the. What's the Krishna says. This is the verse that Prabhupada used to speak on the most in the Bhagavad Gita. Maya Shaktamaro Partha Yogam Yujat Madashraya Ashangshayam Samagra Mam Yata Kikesi Tachunu. Krishna says, here, Arjuna, how by practicing yoga in full consciousness of me, with mind attached to me, you could know me in full, free from doubt. So he says, now here, Tachunu. So generally, spiritual life, it says either starts with the tongue or starts with hearing. So we could start by chanting, saying the holy name of Krishna, tasting prasadam, but also hearing. So Krishna, if I want to serve, how do I please Krishna's senses? Well, first let me understand about him. Just like if you want to please my senses, you could just give me some random thing to eat. But if you really want to know, you'd ask, okay, Gopal, what do you want to eat today? Or what do you want to do today, Gopal? So similarly, Krishna speaks the Bhagavad Gita. He's saying, now here, so we all want to be understood. So look, just hear Krishna out. Just let Krishna, let him speak the Bhagavad Gita. Just hear the Bhagavad Gita from Krishna, and then just hear him out. Let him and try and understand Krishna. Let Krishna explain, and that's what he does in the Bhagavad Gita. Explains himself, explains who he is, what he likes, what he does, like Prabhupada says at the start of the Bhagavad Gita. Just take it as. Just theoretically take it as Krishna's God while you're reading this Gita. You don't have to believe it. You don't have to sign your life away to this particular religion or sect or whatever. You just theoretically suspend your disbelief and theoretically accept Krishna as God, and then just hear him out. Read the Gita, and then by the end of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, you should have a good understanding, especially with Prabhupada's purports. Okay, what does Krishna want me to do, or at least what is the next step? Because to please Krishna is like it's a journey, and that's what spiritual life ultimately is. It's like, okay, what spiritual life is a journey gradually in how to please Krishna more and more and more. Yeah. And then you start to realize that to really please Krishna, then one has to, the service to Krishna is saturated with real spiritual love, the original selfless spiritual love of the living being in a particular relationship with a particular form and mood of Krishna. That gives the highest rasa or experience. And then there's the question how to please Krishna's senses is actually like a doorway that leads to ultimate spiritual perfection.
Crazy. It's making me think like on DJ decks where you have this crossfader and you slide it across and it goes from that spinning disc to the other one, from one track to the other. So the journey is kind of gradually sliding yourself into the spiritual energy, because we are marginal. But sometimes I feel like if you stop sliding, it springs back. Like if you stop endeavouring for that spiritual, or if you stop endeavouring to practice spiritual life, then it's very quickly the material energy will cover you up, and you'll go back to what you were doing just before. Yeah. You know what I mean?
That's why it's good to see everything in perspective, because it is true. Otherwise, if you get too caught up in controlling the senses, and I shouldn't, watch stuff that's bad for me on television, I should only eat stuff that's good for me, and then you might fall into a rut of this is just how I live a materially good life. But to have the full picture of what's going on is the purpose of me doing these things is so I develop spiritual love for Krishna, and that's why it's important to hear about those Krishna and his relationship with perfect devotees. When Chaitanya Charitamrita, you're hearing about Lord Chaitanya and his associates, or even just getting with devotees and chanting in kirtan. It's the way you get first-hand experience of there's a special kind of spiritual taste that's available to be here, and that's why I'm doing the rigmarole of controlling the senses, and here on this verse of Nectar instruction, you should not do this, and you should not do that, you should not do this. I remember Devamrita Swami said when you first read the Bhagavad Gita, it was all these instructions, and I should do this and that, but then as he started to advance, he said it was just, this is another thing Radhi told me actually, then he just realised it was like one big love book. It's like one big book of love. At first you might not see it, but actually after a while you see, all these rules and regulations, they're in order to help me experience things that are way beyond the highest. It says the highest material pleasure you can get in this world is nothing compared to what you can get in other higher planets within this universe, in other body. That is nothing compared to what you can get in the, in all the different layers of the material universe. You have the very top layer, which is like the very prototype of just the ether, where the original sort of experience of material pleasure is manifest, and that is absolutely nothing compared to the lowest tastes of real spiritual life. As one advances, your material body actually can't take the ecstasies of spiritual life, so eventually you have to change body, and just in order to actually go to the next levels,
Yeah, it's just this concept of love, like doing it for the love. Like we were just in New Vajradam, and you have like Radhi Shyam, the deities there. It's Krishna and his eternal girlfriend, you know what I mean? And you can feel the love. Do you know what I mean? Like when you go to a place like that and it's all centered around trying to please Krishna and Krishna's senses and Radharani, it's just nothing like. There's nothing compares to it.
We're talking about simple living, high thinking last time, because what you just saying then reminds me of. There's this. He was one of the top sort of social experts in self-sufficiency. Visited New Vajradam, and his diagnosis was like, yes, actually, in all the places I've been, it doesn't work compared to here, because you need that single focal point for the whole community to evolve around in order for it to work. Yeah. So just for us, even a social life to work, to have that center of love that everything orbits around. Like if you have a still pool, and you throw a stone in, all the concentric circles, fan out quite nicely. If you put loads of stones in, then all these circles clash with each other. So if you have loads of points so if everyone's just trying to satisfy themselves, that's how you have a society of clashes. You have one focal point that everyone's heart can go to, then everything is neat and beautiful.
I feel like that's starting to happen here in Cardiff as well. Like a lot of the devotees have moved out of the ashram, and we've got houses which are close to the temple, and we come in every morning. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, if you can have that central.
The temple is that focus, that point where you come and you get the good association, and
that's why the deities are so important. It's Radhi Shyam in New Vajradam. So in Cardiff, it'll be Gaurnitai. Everything's just to please Gaurnitai. We're distributing prasadam, distributing books, we're preaching, we're expanding the Sankirtan movement. Why? To please Gaurnitai.
Yeah, the deities are really powerful. Like, I'm really starting to get into it now. Like every day, take a picture of them and like.
Yeah, and it's got to expand. We got as we saw the marble ones in. They're stunning.
Yeah.
And once they come, the devotees will be crying. Yeah. When I can't believe when T Krishna's open, which will literally only going to be a few months from now.
Yeah.
When we're standing in front of those deities in the altar, you got Vishwambhar's we're going to fly him in, because now that everything's done, he's going to come in with his computer and actually measure and really work on the altar and everything. We're going to have Prabhupada there. We're going to be in that temple room doing a kirtan with those deities after all this sacrifice and blood, sweat and tears that's taken to build it. Devotees will be crying in bliss. We don't wow. And then because they're manifesting in a way in order for us to serve them more than the Gaurnitai are there now for us to serve them, and they're manifesting in a way that will require us or give us opportunity to do even more service. You have to comb their hair, you'll have to make more garlands for them, you'll have to
you can curl their hair. Yeah, I'm keen. I want to get involved. I just love the visual aspect of deities as well. Like in New Vajradam, just the outfits and the way they're laid out and the flowers and a visual meditation. I'm back to Rupa, the form. I love forms, and so it's I'm so excited just to, even now that our deities are beautiful. There's nothing like our small Gaurnitai. Do you know what I mean? They're so cute and they got individual faces and yeah, it's amazing. What a great way to serve God rather than.
Yeah, you look at, Shiva Ram has got this book, Navaraja Mahima, which is this huge. How many volumes is it? It's got a big map
volumes,
book. Originally, that was just going to be a little pamphlet. Just to glorify the deities of Radhi Shyam.
Yeah.
If you read it and how he's head over heels in love, that's what we talked before. But Prabhupada was looking at these deities, and there's a big kirtan going on. He was very far away from them. he called a devotee over. Devotees were all ecstatic, dancing and chanting. Prabhupada called a devotee over privately, and Prabhupada was crying and saying that why isn't Krishna wearing ankle bells? Krishna should be wearing ankle bells. And Prabhupada starts to cry because the devotees, while dressing the deities, they overlooked the fact that Krishna should have nice ankle bells tied around his ankles. So then one devotee watched that and he said, at that moment I knew that Krishna was real. Otherwise, how could this person have so much love for him? Yeah. So that's the thing. You might think, from an external point of view, it's like Prabhupada used to give the example of having a jar of honey and trying to lick it from the outside. So it's like, how come you have this whole community of people who are completely in love with Krishna, who, like, what is he, some mythical figure in a book, you know, and also a statue that they've dedicated their lives to.
Okay.
You know, it's like trying to lick the honey by tasting it. But actually, once you unscrew it and you realise, oh my, there's so many depths of spiritual relationships to plumb. Is it plumb? Is the word when you plumb the depths of something to bring it up? Yeah,
sure.
But
plumb the depths. It's true though. Like
this,
let's try and view things externally versus internally. Like, you know, like taking pictures of the deities. Like some of the boys, Gopi Ramana, when he takes the pictures, it's just really mystical looking pictures. But like, you know, if someone's not really into the deities and they just take a picture, the picture looks like a picture of statues.
Yeah, that's exactly what my pictures are like. Yeah. Every time I try and take a picture on my phone, I'm like, how come my pictures always just look more flat? Because I'm just taking a picture of the state of my heart, like, you know, just flat and 2D, like, you know. A plum, just before I just stop there, a plum or a plumb bob level, plummet.
Oh, plumbing, yeah.
If Andrew Norton has listened to this, he'll know because he knows about these things. It's a weight, usually with a pointed tip on the bottom. I mean, I haven't actually. I'm read. This might be something completely mad now. Yeah. Suspended from a string and used as a vertical direction as a reference line or plumb line. It is a precursor to the spirit level and is used to establish vertical data. Plumb or vertical? Maybe I was wrong then.
Let's plumb the depths. So I think you're right in a certain way.
Yeah, like a plumber.
You're on about like going into the jar.
Yeah.
Maybe you could say delve.
You carry on. There you go. Plumb the depths. Literally means to examine something in a careful and complete way in order to understand it. The play plumbs the depths of human nature, which obviously comes from the actual activity. There you go.
Touché.
To go down deep into something, especially the ocean.
Plumb.
Humans have taken trips off the planet and plumbed the depths of the ocean. Yeah, to discover.
Go deep, like.
Yeah, to examine something in a careful and complete way in order to understand it.
Is it to do with that plumbing?
I don't know, let's move on.
No, I think we should stick. We did a podcast on a sentence. We could do a podcast on plumbing the depths. Like, have you tried the plums in New Vashdown?
I don't think so.
I don't even know they have plums. But the apricots are out of this world.
I know I was with Shiv Rama and she plucked something off a tree and ate it. And I can't remember what it was.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm scarred from my experience in New Vashdown because it was just too austere for me. No, when I was living there for like a week or two or whatever.
It was too much, yeah.
I was just because there's no because there's no running water. I have to get the water from a well and run a bucket back and forth, and then go into a machine.
You have to be quiet,
and then actually like physically pull this lever, plumb the depths of this water. So it was like purified enough to, I guess, use. And then, you know, it doesn't like any plastics or anything like that. So then it was like I had all these dishes to wash. I had to use like this rag, and I was like, you know, and there's a secret sponge that you use in emergencies. It was boiling hot, and there was no drinking water anywhere.
Yeah,
you know, it was like.
I think it changed by the time I went there. Because
when I was there when they were doing like Shiv Rama was doing like some sort of like an experiment of like.
Oh, like switch.
Well, this is how we should live if you know.
Yeah, if the power goes out.
To be as self-sufficient as possible.
Yeah.
And
they have high standards there though. I remember I took something in there with like plastic wrap. What's it called?
Cling film.
Yeah. And they were like, oh no.
Oh yeah.
Take this out of here. No plastic. And I was like, oh sorry.
That's how we're meant to live.
It's true though. It makes you more conscious.
I've seen this woman. They're selling now biodegradable sponges and stuff.
Made out of like cactus spines or something.
I don't know. Is it?
Like they dry out. There's a certain cactus, you dry it out.
Yeah,
and it
rip its spine out. Like. There's a horrible, cruel factory somewhere. Poor cactuses, like, and their spines are ripped.
They keep them alive. They just keep ripping out their spines. They grow a new.
They can make a nice sponge out of this. Cactus spine
Save
sponges.
the planet. Kill the cactus. Okay, great. Well, that's a nice podcast. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Please leave us some comments, and we'll be back next week.
Hare Krishna.
Madhya Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta-rupa Madhya Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta-rupa Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta-rupa Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta-rupa Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta-rupa Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta-rupa Prabhu Nityananda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Hare